What is up guys, Speed here, and today we're going to be following another one of OG SAKSA's replays, and I understand you might be like, oh, another one. No, but this is WEAVER Position 4, and I'm really excited to bring this, because not only do I think this hero is very strong, I also just like talking about new and innovative things within the Dota community, and frankly, WEAVER 4 is probably one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. WEAVER 4 has actually been a thing in the past in Dota. WEAVER's Aghanim Scepter is probably one of the strongest Ags in the game, maybe arguably the strongest because of its ability to be built up on WEAVER pretty efficiently as a support, right? These stats are good. You like being tanky, you like the mana. And so yeah, we're going to be talking about how SAKSA executes it, how he snipes couriers, has impact in the early game, and farms up. Yeah, let's get into it. So recently I played a live Pugna game too that I actually recorded over, and I talk a lot about how to dominate the support role, just in general, how to make plays alone. So this can apply to the carry role, the offlane role, mid lane. And it's a really cool match that I recorded and I'm posting very, very soon on the main gameleap website. If you click the link down below, you're going to be able to view that entire video. It's super, super cool. On top of that, I also want to mention that I recently made a 33 Chen offlane replay. So I have a lot of great content coming out. There's even more, literally I've recorded even more stuff, maybe even some secrets of top 50 players coming up in the gameleap website as well. So a lot of great stuff. Everyone who I've been talking to about the website has been enjoying it. So yeah, click the link down below and hopefully I'll see you guys there. Alright, so right off the bat here, I want to note a very important thing, and that's his starting items. So he starts with a Bassi and a Tango. Now, it's very important to also note that he will always buy an extra set of Tangos once the laning stage starts. If you don't do this, you're going to have a hard time trading, as WEAVER doesn't have, you know, really the best trading capabilities in the laning stage. He's in the middle of the pack. On top of that, he has a Bassi here. He either buys Bassi or Headdress from the research that I've done. He buys Headdress if the lane is very defensive, and he buys Bassi if the lane can be generally offensive. Overall though, if you're playing pubs, I recommend you more so lean towards Bassi, as it's going to let you be very active on the map, snipe couriers, and hopefully keep your XP up. So the first thing I want to note about the game is how he actually uses Sakuchi. So he uses one right out of base, right, to get out early. Then he's going to actually use it again off cooldown, and he's going to continue to do so, actually strictly so he can get this deep ward up as soon as possible while being invisible. And you're going to notice this is a major benefit to his overall gameplay. In fact, this is incredible because what you're going to see in a second is that he actually gets a D ward from it. So try to ask your position 5 to give you a sentry as well. Right, that's going to allow you to put down that deep ward in the mid lane, which you should be doing for your mid laner every single game as WEAVER Position 4, and then you're going to be able to get this free D ward, and it gives XP, right? So a lot of you guys might not know this, but D-warding obs gives you almost a quarter of a level, which is a ton. Now getting into the laning stage, I only have a couple of basic tips, as other than that, it's pretty standard laning. The main one I want to say is that when you're using Sakuchi, as you'll see in a minute here, you want to make sure you don't end up in front of your opponents after using Sakuchi. So he casts it there and immediately has to disengage just in case he ended up getting caged in, or, you know, just gets auto attack. WEAVER does not want to get stuck next to opponents without Sakuchi. Your hero is very squishy, you have low HP, some of the lowest movement speed in the game, and 2 armor. So really just do not use Sakuchi and get stuck on top of your opponents, right? See how he hits the Morphling with Sakuchi, backs into the trees. You do not want to end up in any area of 1v1ing without Sakuchi. It's just terrible. At level 2, you're going to want to take your Gemini attack, and the reason for this is that you really do not have enough mana to take bugs at level 2. It might seem really good. It's like, oh, you can reduce all their armor, and while I agree with that, to sustain it, you would have to buy 18 mangoes, and I'm really not kidding. You would actually have to buy 18 mangoes. So instead, you want to take Gemini attack. It gives you 10 more damage per auto. Well, actually per the second auto of Gemini attack, giving you a little bit of extra harass. So the first thing I want to note is that you can actually roam in the early game as WEAVER. Funny enough, this hero is pretty decent at roaming, and there's a couple of things I would consider. Well, here, he's actually going to be TPing top to contest this axe, try to pick up a kill. And this is a good thing to do against heroes that are creep cutting in general, because if you grief them, you grief their game for a long period of time, as it will take them a long time to get back to creep cutting. On top of that, you can actually TP mid. We're going to watch this example as I talk, but you can actually TP mid as well, and really just prevent counter ganks. It's one of those things where if someone, like let's say a Storm Spirit dives your middle tower and runs out of mana, or same thing with an Ember or Void Spirit, you can TP in and often get the return kill as you're super fast. Following that though, he's going to instantly pop his Clarity, and guys, make sure you have Clarity all throughout the game on WEAVER, otherwise you just will not be able to play your hero. It's as simple as that. If you do not spam Clarities, you can't play WEAVER support. On top of that, I want to show a quick little tip here. So number 1, whenever you're playing WEAVER, be the warding guy. take all of the observer wards if you're going to be moving throughout the map. Like, the reason is because you're super fast, you're invis, it's hard for people to scout out where you actually put down the wards, and on top of that, you can make plays like this, where he actually goes into their jungle, right, prevents a stack, and tries to pick up the bounty rune. Now, he didn't end up getting it, but yes, in Sakuchi, while you're invis, you can pick up the bounty rune, and this is a great way to just yoink some runes. In fact, I really like the fact that he tried to take this one. If you think about it, it's the highest value, as if he actually ended up getting it, the Ember wouldn't have been able to refill his bottle, and that would be pretty game-changing stuff. Moving on from there, I just want to show a quick little example. It's 5 minutes and 30 seconds in, and he finds Roger on the side. And whenever you find a low armor hero, you want to try to move to some high ground, or make sure you have the max distance between them before hitting them, right? He doesn't go in melee range, because you do not want to have to, once again, overcommit to the trades. So Roger gets gone on, Roger eats a tango on the Phoenix, but you can see Weaver does a ton of damage. You just naturally have a lot of damage, and if they overcommit to you, you can always chase them down. And that's sort of what we see here. He never really fully commits to hitting people. He hits them with the Geminite, maybe one more time, and then Sakuchi's through to make sure he's not taking a 1v1 trade. Next up, I want to mention that Weaver is a Courier Sniping god. This hero might be better than Bounty Hunter, considering how fast you can run. So he sees the Courier coming in here, and Geminite attack guarantees that you kill it, because you attack twice. You kill flying Couriers in one go, as long as you have Geminite attack, which is crazy strong. On top of that, he's able to actually help out, you know, with the axe kill here. They don't end up getting it, but you can see how active you can actually be just with sniping Couriers and then, you know, just going around the map. And funny enough, he continues to do this throughout the game, so he ended up TPing bottom a little bit later on and snipes another Courier. He auto-attacked the ground, right? So basically what he did there, if not all of you guys understand, is he force attacks the ground, finds the Courier, secures it with the Geminite attack, and is obviously now griefing the enemy team's game super hard. Also, each one of those Courier snipes is like 250 gold for your team, which is essentially a kill, if not more. The next thing you can do as Weaver, even though he ends up dying here, I actually really recommend you do this. If you manage to have a good start or a good laning stage, or even if you think the opponent can't really kill you, you want to run into their jungle, sap their XP, and just grief their farm overall, and that's what he does here. He's not only preventing them from getting neutral items by being in range, he's also sapping a lot of the XP. As I said, he ends up going down, but at the end of the day, he forces 3 hero rotations, and that's the power of Weaver. You can run into the jungle, find the enemy alchemist or some, I don't know, enemy Wraith King, run at them for a little bit, sap all their XP, maybe steal a couple creeps, some support will TP in, and you just Sakuchi out. I really recommend making that play. Following that though, you want to be getting your XP up. So whenever it gets to the point of the game where, you know, you've been roaming around, you've been having your impact, sniping Couriers, you want to eventually settle down and find a lane to farm. It doesn't matter if this is 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, you need to find farm as Weaver at some point in the game. And most importantly, levels. This hero thrives with levels. You want your Sakuchi maxed out and your Q maxed out as soon as possible, and we'll see how he does that a little bit later on, including he's also going to take the Tome, which you should note. Please take Tome on Weaver as he snipes another Courier. And here I'm going to be showing you an example of getting farm. So he TVs bottom at the 15-minute mark to get some farm. Don't worry, we'll be looking at fights in a little bit, guys, but he goes bottom to get some farm. His entire team was fighting top, and he has no problem getting the bounty runes and taking the area. And you should do the same thing in your game. When your team, you know, wants you to fight, fine, you could fight in the early game. You're a support, you're a position 4, you can have a lot of impact with Sakuchi and bugs, especially if you're level 7. But then after that, as I said, please try to slow down the pace of the game so you can start buying more clarities. I'm actually not kidding. And you can get your point booster as well as component to Ags, because the tankier you are as Weaver, the better. And that's why he has a wand and boots, and make sure you buy these items as well, guys. Buy the wand first, then the boots second, and then start getting into your Ags or a spirit vessel if it happens to be a good vessel game. This game it's good, however his Death Prophet is buying it. And yeah, now he's just going to spend a little bit of time farming bottom, and it's really hard to gank Weaver. As I said, he's really hard to kill, and you have to generally commit a very specific amount of heroes or type of heroes to kill him, while something like a Skywrath Mage split pushing could get solo carried by a lot of carries, and that's the difference here, right? He can even push the tower with this card a little bit, and it's really funny, but he doesn't have to be afraid. You have time-lapse and Sakuchi to get out at any time. Alright, and let's get into our first major fight of the game. So he's going to be coming in from the north side, and you always want to kind of use your swarm as if it's some Tide Ags or a Lena Dragon Slave. You're trying to hit as many heroes as possible, because if you hit a lot of heroes with swarm, I'm not kidding, it's sort of a guaranteed fight. So he throws it across here, it ends up clipping the axe who blinks in, as well as the Ember Spirit, and generally what I would recommend is it's good to get on supports as well, as they struggle to kill it. That is an option, and what you're even going to see here is he's going to Sakuchi to the left. So as Weaver, don't really hit the cores, it's not worth it generally, unless they're super separated and overextending. In this case, he's actually going to go on the Disruptor in the backline. Now, he doesn't instantly hit him because I think he was afraid of getting ultied and killed. So instead, he continues to kite out, and there's good reason for him to be concerned. The Disruptor had ulti, so he didn't want to instantly die, but generally, you can get onto the backlines and ruin supports that are not paying attention. And guys, I've watched a lot of 2K, 3K, 4K, and 5K MMR pubs, and supports have a hard time tracking backliners, so just get your free Disruptor kill at the start of every fight. It's really strong. On top of that, your hero is one of the best Roshan heroes in Dota because the Swarm works on Roshan. If I click on Roshan here, you're going to notice the bug is being tanked for, and that's very important to note. Make sure you have someone aggro Rosh before using the bugs, otherwise the bug will get focused and die, and that's not good. But now, Roshan has negative 4.8 armor, right? And that's obviously considering his additive armor. That's the insane thing about bugs, it keeps on going. Roshan at some point there had negative 10 armor, and that's how good Weaver bugs is, guys. Negative 10 armor, or more, and much more, is potent. Funny enough, because I really want to emphasize the importance of this Aghanim Scepter, you should be doing whatever it takes to get it past like the 10-minute mark when you start doing your farming, and he makes a stack here, right? No joke, he makes a stack and bugs it, right? He Sakuchis through and bugs it, and this is the importance of getting items, and you can see SAKSA's emphasis on it, committing 2 Sakuchis, a bugs, and you just swipe through a camp. On top of this, at level 10, I recommend you take the Sakuchi damage. It's going to let you push in waves and deal a little bit of extra damage in fights, and you're really not centering your hero around right-clicking, so agility is useless. Alright, in this next fight, we're going to see absolute work put in by SAKSA, so right off the bat, he's going to commit his bugs, and I like that. I just think this is a pretty low cooldown spell that is very strong, so the earlier you can get it out on someone, the better. On top of that, it could always hit someone in the back line accidentally, but yeah, they're able to kill the Ember Spear, the bugs obviously reducing his armor. He kites to the outside, right? Do not put your hero in the middle. Do not go in the middle. You're way too squishy. You want to stay on the outside and be a nuisance. You're not a tank. You're a nuisance. So go to the outside like he is here. He finds the Phoenix Egg or find some support and try to kill them, like I said earlier. Otherwise, you're going to feed. Like, it's that simple. And now he time-lapsed, right? The Morphling tried to kill him as he was a bit low on HP, but he commits his time-lapse, heals up, he's chilling. And the fight actually doesn't end there, so it continues going, but because he has an Arcane Ring, which I generally recommend you try to get the Ocean Hearts, Clumsy Nets, Essence Rings, Arcane Rings, anything that's going to help you with some mana is just such a great item. But yeah, once again, you're going to notice he's going to try to get to the backline with the Sakuchi. So he goes around here, manages to find a bugs onto the backline Disruptor, and just solo kills him. It's that simple. That Disruptor was not low on health, right? Just look at this again. Disruptor is not low. This is basically a full HP hero. He tanked a bit of flak, right? And an overwhelming odds, but he's half HP, and a Weaver support just walks through, does like 200 or 300 damage with Sakuchi, right? And kills him because you got bugs on him. And now following the Disruptor kill, he's going to be able to continue going through another Sakuchi, and this is so much damage. Like, each one of your Sakuchis can deal 1,000 damage in a fight, which is really nuts if you think about it. And now we're going to get into the stage of the game where he gets this Aghanim Scepter. First off, as I said earlier, push in waves. Use bugs, they're 20-second cooldown. Once you max them out, right, it scales down, and then, right, you can push in a wave with one Sakuchi, basically making sure that your team can see and gather information, because now someone on the enemy team is going to show, right, it's the Ember Spear in this case, to get the farm. Alright, so let's get into the first fight, and I want to talk about the decision making with the Ags, because it actually can be a bit hard to use. You know, you can definitely panic with it, and right here, his Nyx Assassin gets jumped, and you might be like, oh, I have to time-lapse him. But if he's not going to die, and no one's focusing him here, he's not going to commit it. He's instead going to let Seb cast a Press attack, which is not nearly as valuable, right? So make sure you do not commit your time-lapse on heroes that are not guaranteed dead. That can be a very hard distinction to make in Dota. I understand, it's almost impossible actually to really perfect, but as you can see, the Death Prophet was going to die there likely, right? So he commits the time-lapse. Now in this case, it ends up being a pretty bad fight. In fact, I think you could argue maybe the time-lapse was a bit early, and they end up getting 3-4 man called, and this is just not what you want to do as Weaver. I'm sure he would admit to himself that this was also a mistake. Basically, he got too close to a core, he didn't commit the Sakuchi to disengage, or at least reposition, and they end up all dying. Alright, in this fight, you're going to see the real power of Weaver, so once again, getting off of it, I love this bugs, right? Coming across onto 3 heroes, repositions to the side to get it, right? Clips all of them with the bugs, and just the impact from that is more than you can know. It legitimately is more than you can know. And now his gyrocopter is getting gone on, and he's actually going to reposition here. He was like, oh, maybe I need to help the backline. But Sumail and the gyrocopter gets gone on pretty hard. However, they're able to disengage, secure the kill into the Morphling, and he, no joke, healed the gyro for like 1200 HP on, what is it, a 16-second cooldown. And then following that here with the Enchanted Quiver, he's basically able to solo kill the Disruptor by himself. And yes, if there's any hero that can actually use Quiver well, it's Weaver, because it's on a 6-second cooldown, and what else is on a 6-second cooldown? Your Sakuchi. So every 6 seconds, you can deal 250 damage with your nuke, and then another 300 with your Quiver, and to a support, that's like half their health. And even if it's not half their health, a bug is going to easily push them past that threshold and put them in a position where they just can't fight anymore. And it's really just insane to me how good this combo is, and how good Weaver is actually with Enchanted Quiver. Here is a small example, but I just want to emphasize how uncommittal he is. So when this Disruptor gets gone on, you're actually going to notice that he hesitates to go on him, right? This is important because high MMR players do this, low MMR players don't. He hesitates to go on him because he's afraid of the follow-up. He's playing Ags Weaver, meaning he does not want to have to time-lapse himself if possible. He wants to stay alive and stay out of vision so that he can time-lapse teammates. So he actually walks to the right here. His opponents are on the left, he walks to the right. Seems simple, yeah? But most people wouldn't do it, yeah? But no joke though, finally when he sees the enemy team backing off, right, they're all disengaging hardcore, then he commits on the Disruptor, Quiver to secure the kill, and kills the Disruptor without basically committing his life at all. And funny enough, he ends up going for an Aetherland's second item, and I actually do think this is okay. It makes sense because, as I said, you're just trying to position defensively. He doesn't want to get caught in a Static Storm or an Axe Call, so it's really good if he can stay far back. However, other items you can go are Force Staff, Yules, Glimmer Cape, basically all of the typical support items that will keep you alive. Especially if the enemy team has a Silence, I recommend you consider going for a Lotus or a Yules just to make sure you don't get chain controlled and die. And really pay attention to his positioning as his team is sieging the high ground, right? He's making sure he stays far back as possible. Never, ever, ever, ever coming close to the high ground. Now, this Nyx Assassin can do that because that's what Nyx does. Nyx is like a frontlining support, but the Weaver, absolutely not. And please do not make this mistake, guys. He's going to continuously do this every single fight, and that is why SAKSA had like the rank 1, 2, and 3 accounts in Europe at some point. I'm not kidding. This guy was legitimately rank 1, 2, and 3 at some point in Europe, which is just some mind-blowing stuff. That's why he's on OG. He's no joke. But yeah, getting into the fight, right, he can save his Nyx Assassin if needed. You might be like, isn't that a bad idea? Yeah, usually, but his Gyrocopter has an Aegis and a Satanic, so it makes a little bit of sense here. Generally, you obviously want to prioritize your main cores. And now this game is essentially over. The enemy team can't commit on anyone, they can't even kill a Nyx Assassin because he can get saved on a 16-second cooldown, and we're gonna see it once again here. The Nyx gets gone on, and he doesn't cast his ultimate. Nah, but in all seriousness, obviously pros make mistakes as well. He clearly should have time-lapsed him there, but it's not the end of the world. He can, however, time-lapse this Gyrocopter, even though he has Aegis, a quick little heal for, you know, like the casual 1200 HP, saves his Gyrocopter, bugs up the Ember Spirit as well as anyone inside of the base, and that's basically going to be the end of the match as he ends up killing the egg for his team. But as you can see, Weaver has a very weird impact. It can be actually hard to see, but if you really pay attention to the amount of armor Bugs actually reduces, you'll come to realize why Team OG is consistently picking this hero. On top of that, I want to go over the main core things that I think Weaver is good at. Number 1, he's extremely good at sniping couriers because of Gemini Attack and Sakuchi. Number 2, he's really good at killing supports. And number 3, he's really good at warding. I'm not even going to mention the Ags because that could just be number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10 for how good it is. But yeah, he's really good at warding as well. You can get deep wards for your team, making your team be able to invade the jungle against heroes like Alchemist, Wraith King, Medusa. You are really good at getting down the deep vision and actually bullying the cores who are very weak in the early game while they're jungling. But thank you guys for watching this replay analysis of OG SAKSA on the position for Weaver. If you want to see more weird videos like this, definitely let me know in the comment section down below, as well as liking the video because it helps me out. And yeah, I'm just fascinated by all the cool hero choices we've seen throughout this tournament. I mean, just watching OG play is always a pleasure, and that's why I make a lot of videos about them, because I'm personally a massive fan of not necessarily the fact that they're winning, more so about the fact that they kind of just reinvent Dota or pick very cool heroes all the time. And yeah, thanks for watching and peace. And hey guys, remember, before you end this video, in the link down below, I've been playing a lot of live games where I talk about my thoughts in real time in the middle of a Dota match. So if you want to get in the head of a pro player, click the link down below to the gameleap website. Super cheap right now, right? Like, and I'm doing this a ton. We all have time on our hands. I have time to make content. You guys probably have time to enjoy and learn Dota, get better at the game. So yeah, if that combo works for you, click the link down below and I'll see you there.